All right. Well, let's just keep them lifted up in prayer. It's when you're where are they from, anyways?
So. He said he bought that trailer at Coldwater. I guess he was pulling the calls up where his brother lived up there. And, like I said, there's probably circumstances they don't want to tell,
Is there a Red Cross office in Sallisaw?
I have no idea. But what?
I know if you have to get a hold of somebody in the Marine Corps or something, there's a place that you can call there's a Red Cross representative here, or there was. They would probably know how to go from there. But
Yeah. All right. Well, let's just keep them lifted up in prayer that everything will work out for them. Revelation chapter 17. I've gone through this chapter about 7 times this week, trying to figure out the best way to present it because there's no break in the scriptures or anything, and so we're just going to get started here. And if anybody has a comment, just speak up. And there came out one of the 7 angels, which had the seven vials, and talked with me, said unto me, Come hither, I will show unto you the judgment of the great whore who sits upon many waters. Now, the references I have in this Bible on the great whore, it says it refers to all the religions of the world that ever have been, which are devised by men as a substitute for the gospel of Jesus Christ and Him crucified. It says God's way is Christ and Him crucified alone, as well as many waters are a symbol of the multitude of people. So it says that the great whore represents a bunch of man-made religions, in other words. And you got something to say, Bobby?
Yeah, this is man-made, but it was wickedness. It was witchcraft.
Yeah.
All sorts of sorcery, whatever. That's where they was at. And see, it's slipping back in on us now.
Yeah.
Some of the same stuff. So they were talking about, when they were talking about commit fornication with these kings on earth, of course you ain't got that, I'm sorry.
That's okay, because that's right there. That's right next.
Fornication, they was giving in to these, to the, well, you might say the Antichrist,
Yeah.
or this gets down to it, these nations, and they end up giving them their power.
Yes, they did.
And it goes back to the Romans. Some of it goes back to the Roman Catholics.
Yep.
Again, they hate to bring their name into the situation, but it comes back to that.
Yes.
Again.
Yep.
So they call it, I don't know. You go ahead and we'll talk to
Okay.
somebody because I'm going to let you read this.
Verse 2, with whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication, and the habitations of the earth have been made drunk with the wine of her fornication. That's just what Bobby was saying there, that, all the, these things that are popping back up, like on, is it AMC or AE? AMC's got that series, The Walking Dead, that zombie thing. Do you realize that is almost their number 1 show? People are going crazy over this zombie thing. And that's nothing but one of these other crazy things that's been devised by man. There's no such things as zombies. Now I know that down in Louisiana and stuff like that, they practice voodoo. Out in Tahiti, Jamaica, and stuff like that. they practice voodoo, and they believe in zombies. But the Walking Dead. But you can go on there, and you can go on their website. You can buy T-shirts. You can buy. You can go. They're going crazy with the Walking Dead, and that's what Bobby's talking about. Things like that is sneaking back in to society.
Well, they're just worshiping everything but God.
Yep.
Their worship is, they might worship that chair right there, and if you say something against that chair, they'll try to kill you.
Yep.
I'm just saying that they worship anything except for God.
Yep.
And that's what it's coming to, and it's you look at it now over in the Middle East and all that stuff, and you look at the different things that they worship, and it's, I can't worship a statue.
Yeah, it's. Okay, verse 3. So he carried me. This is John talking. So he carried me away in the spirit into the wilderness, and I saw a woman sit upon a scarlet-colored beast, full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns. And I've got about 3 paragraphs of references there. I got to find the next one. Okay, that's the end of that verse. Then it goes on to verse 4. And the woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet collar, and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls, having a golden cup in her hand, full of abominations and filthiness of her fornication. So at this point in time, here's this. People are getting because in the next couple of verses, when you get down to verse 6 and 7, it kind of explains everything what's going on here. But so it says, what did it say there? It says, full of abominations and filthiness of her fornication. Of her fornication. So this represents a lot of sin. It represents the different world religions that are getting involved. Wicca and witchcraft and all that kind of things. And and a lot of people, and including John here in a minute, was marveled. They were at awe looking at this person. And it says, and upon her forehead was a name written, Mystery Babylon the Great. Make sure that was it. The Great, the mother of harlots and the abominations of the earth. And I saw the woman drunken with the blood of the saints and with the blood of the martyrs of Jesus. And when I saw her, I wondered with great admiration. Now this was John. This is John talking. So not only did John admire her, but the whole world at this point in time was admiring this person. And it's, here they've had the seals, the trumpets, the vials, and the people were still marvel at this at the sight of this. And here they had all the world religions coming together and everything. Once again, the clock is ticking. Some of this stuff is already starting to take place. And, so we need to make sure that we're ready. And we better watch ourselves. Here's John. John was even fooled. Because it says, I marveled. And what was the response of the angel? In verse 7 it says, and the angel said unto me, wherefore did you marvel? I will tell you the mysteries of this woman and of the beast that carries her, which has the 7 heads and 10 horns. The beast who you saw was and is not and shall ascend out of the bottomless pit and go into perdition, and they that dwell on the earth shall wonders whose names were not written in the book of life from the foundation of the world. And they beheld, and when they beheld the beast who was and is not and yet is. So this whole thing is the enemy. It's the devil trying. He's getting ready to make his last stand. You know, we've only got 6 more chapters, counting chapter 17. And that's 6 more chapters that we've got to go through. So the devil here, he's getting ready to make his last stand. And as we all know, it's not going to work, but this is what the devil's doing. So people are going to be marveled, they're going to, and everything, and they're going to be looking at these, at all this. I mean, because she's all decked out in pearls and all kinds of things. So they're thinking, oh man, who is this person? You know, you know, and all, like, you know, Bobby said, all the world religions that are sneaking back in, and that's what this is all about. Verse 9, and here is the mind which has wisdom. The 7 heads are 7 mountains on which the woman sits, and there are 7 kings, and one is, well, I wish this thing was better on, and one is, and the other is not yet come. When he comes, he must continue a short space. Now, when we're talking about the 7 kings, we're talking about the seven nations over there that have formed together. Now, if you realized, if you heard that the State Department was closing a lot of their embassies over there in the Middle East today. In fact, the State Department was issuing warnings that actually they were issuing warnings for people not even to fly out of the United States because of the different terrorist threats that they've been looking at. So, but all this transpires over there. But due to the fact that you have satellite and all these things, you know, people all around the world is going to be able to see all this going on. And it goes in verse 11, and the beast that was and is not, even he is the 8th, and is of the 7th, and goes into perdition, and the 10 horns which you saw are 10 kings, which have received no kingdom as of yet, but receive power as kings 1 hour with the beast. So these kingdoms they're all going to be working together with the beast, but it's only going to be for a short period of time. So, like I said a while ago, they're all working together because the beast knows that they only have a short period of time to make their last stand. And so that's where we're at with that.
That word prediction. Okay. Go ahead and explain that word to me a little bit. I kind of got an idea. I want to hear your comment on it.
Well,
or anybody else.
Anybody else has a comment on that? Perdition. I think it's. I think it's on the way to the fire and brimstone. Actually,
This is what I think. It says when they go into it, it's something that they've headed for, and there's no turn around. You know, they're going into doom. You know, like you're talking about the fire and brimstone. But
yeah, you're right.
once they go into that,
they can't go back out.
They can't decide. Well, I'm not going to go into it. That's it.
Yeah.
And
irreversible. That's what I was trying to think.
There you go. Well, that's kind of what I think anyway.
Yeah.
The word.
Yeah. Once. Yeah.
there. I'm going, and they know where they're going.
Yep.
They know what they're headed for, but they can't do nothing about it because see the way they chose to worship. And this Babylon is like this all has to do with the seven years, of the Great Tribulation area. But there's this one mystical Babylon, the mystery Babylon. That all has to do with all this evil and everything like that. So there's a literal Babylon that God will destroy after the 3.5 years. And so, people don't understand it that there's two Babylons. One of them is, and one of them literal, a literal city. This is not a city, the mystery Babylon. The other Babylon is. So, that's kind of what I've studied and read upon. Like I said, I'm not the smartest person in the world. Maybe one or two other ones.
Yeah, we get more into Babylon. You get more into Babylon and the fall of Babylon in chapter 18.
Yeah, well, you got chapter 18. Actually, there's some of it goes back
Goes
to
right back
17.
17, exactly.
So, you'll get that, but you gotta kind of keep this in mind when you're reading 18.
Yeah.
This chapter.
Yeah, it goes back to 17. Because then, we talked about the kings and the kingdoms. Now, verse 13 says in Revelation 17, these have one mind and shall give their power and strength unto the beast. And so they all, they talk about 10 nations making up the seventh head. It says making up the seventh head will be all in agreement respecting their joining with the Antichrist because they don't have the power to successfully oppose him.
You go back to verse 10, and there's three words you missed. It said, and there are 7 kings, and 5 are fallen.
Yeah, you're right.
And one is, and the other is not yet come. And when he cometh, he must continue a short space. And that's where we're talking about that it goes into this prediction.
Perdition. Yeah. Yeah, my black and red ink here on this Bible kind of runs all together sometimes, and I can't see all the words.
Like I said, when this last king comes up, he knows that's where he's going.
That's where he's going.
But he's got a short time to.
Yeah.
He knows he's just got this short little time.
And then these kings and stuff, they don't have the power to overcome the Antichrist. So they're just going to, they say, well, we can't fight him, we might as well join him.
They transfer their fire.
Yeah. So they said, that's pretty much what it was. We can't fight him successfully, so we might as well join him. And you know what? That's like the society today. If it feels good, do it. So it says, and then in verse 14, so verse 13, they give all their power over to the beast. These kingdoms give all their power over to the beast, and shall give their powers and strength over unto the beast. And then verse 14 says,
well, I like this.
Go ahead.
No, I said I like this verse. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. They shall make war with the Lamb, and the Lamb shall overcome them. For he is the Lord of lords, King of kings, and they who are with him are called and chosen and faithful. Yeah, I like that verse 14. And be said unto me, the waters which you saw, where the whore sits, are people and multitudes and nations and tongues. And now what this talks about here says, this covers the entirety of the world and tells us that billions have died and gone to hell as a result of following all the false religions. And as we, and there's a lot of crazy things out there. Scientology and some of these other things. Some people there's people that are starting to worship animals. I mean, it's really going crazy out there. But this represents those billions of people that will go to hell for worshiping someone else other than Jesus Christ and Him crucified. And the 10 horns which you saw upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. For God has put in their hearts to fulfill His will, and to agree and give their kingdom unto the beast, until the words of God shall be fulfilled. And the woman which you saw is that great city which reigns over the kings of the earth. And that's the end of chapter 17. And it goes on to chapter 18, which talks about Babylon. So since 17 and 18 is together, you want to just go ahead and go through that? No? You want to wait till next week?
Well, I think we can. Do this next week.
Okay.
I think get the read back on 17 during the week, and then when we do 18. Got some computers or some commentaries and stuff. I try to read them, but it don't take very long.
Yeah.
To do it. You can understand a little bit about what's going to happen.
Yeah.
But some of it, like the witchcraft and all that stuff, it's trying to sneak back in now. Today's we're seeing. I mean, a lot of people they say, "Well, we're in tribulation," but we're not.
No, we're not even close.
We're in tribulation, but we're not in tribulation.
No. Yes. Exactly. No, we're not. We're not. Yeah, a lot of, and yet there are some people that says all this that we've been discussing is nothing but symbolic. It's not really going to happen.
When the news starts in about the Bible prophecy, about all the locusts and everything that, that Israel or they have over there, and that's Bible prophecy, and they're talking about the last days, and they don't know what to talk about. To start with, it ain't that kind of locusts. They're not going to like these locusts.
No, we done discussed what those are going to look like. They're going to have armor plating and everything else. So, the tribulation has not started. Though some, in some countries naturally they are, they're under pressure to you got to. Underground churches and stuff like that.
I think they're trying to set up something over there.
Yeah.
And I think there's going to be a leader that's going to come in over there, and he's going to be real popular in today's world, and he's going to get something settled, maybe. I don't know. You would think that somebody could get in there and talk to these people, these countries that don't do nothing to fight and try to kill each other. They all hate Israel. This country hates this country, this country over there. And they all hate America.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we're not very popular.
And the only reason I can think they hate America is because of God. It's supposed to be of God, America is.
Right.
And we're the big bully, they call it, We tell them all what to do. For some reason, and we really don't try to tell these countries what to do. It's just in their mind. That's just like when you're in school, and there was somebody in there, you thought, well, he's trying to tell everybody what to do, or she wants to be bossy. Well, that's what these countries think of us. They think, well, we're not going to listen to them, And really, I believe Americans are probably more peaceful. But you go to Russia. Russia's all an underground deal. They just, you don't hear much about them, because everything they're doing is underground that we don't know about furnishing all these countries to kill each other.
Yep.
Weapons and everything else. And that's what they're doing, and they don't really, they act like they hate, Iran hates Russia. They get a lot of stuff.
They get a lot of stuff from Russia.
Yeah, but like I said, it's all underground.
Yep.
And they're going one of these days, and we might see this. We might see a great leader, come out over there and have all these countries, kind of in one deal, and then you're going to see a big explosion. You're going to see this big civil war. After they get together, and they're going to end up blowing up each other.
Yeah. There's so much there's a lot going on over there that we don't even know about. Even though there's CNN reporters everywhere, we still don't know everything. There's the
all the oil in Saudi Arabia. What is going to happen if they ever get the oil on fire in the ground?
Yeah.
Now what's going to happen? If it ever gets down there that low, it's going to explode. It's going to blow them up.
Yeah.
But maybe America knows this. Saving their oil, I don't know. But this time to come. I don't want to be in it.
No. And hopefully none of us will be, because this is sometime after the rapture, and because now they're dealing with all the people that have listened to lies and false teachers and false prophets and all that kind of stuff. And now this is what those billions of people are. They've listened to all kinds of false teachers, false prophets, and they've been deceived. And the Bible tells us even the very elect will be deceived. So we've got to be on our guard. We have to be on our guard, because the Word says that Satan is going about seeking whom he may devour. So we've got to be on our guard, because we could be easily deceived. Like I said, it said even the very elect will be deceived. So we've got to make sure we're on our guard and prayed up and continue praying. That's one of the main keys: praying. I was up at midnight last night praying, And not I'm patting myself on the back because naturally I don't sleep all night. So when I get up to take pain pills or whatever, I spend time in prayer. And because I get up several times during the night because I get uncomfortable, I get all stiff and everything. So when I do get up, I just go to praying, and I pray for the church. I pray for the people here. I spoke to some people over in Kenya yesterday afternoon, so I've been praying for them. And so prayer is one of the main keys that we have, and that we need to pray one for another. And that's easy. You hear that all the time, but nowadays we really need to be praying one for another and lifting everybody up in prayer, because I'll tell you what, the clock's ticking, and the old devil, like Bobby says, he's sneaking in. They're sneaking in all these kind of things, and people are getting hooked on all these things. Let me tell you, a lot of these crazy games that kids can play on their iPads, iPhones, and all that other kind of stuff, some of these games are very addictive. And it's kind of scary. Now I want to be honest here. I do play 2 games on the Facebook, and they're those seek and hide the objects and stuff. That's all I do. All of war games and everything, I don't pay a bit of attention to them. And I do play Scrabble. And I play those 3 games, and that's all I do on the computer. And but most of the time, I use my computer for studying and devotions and that kind of thing. And I've got, like I said earlier, a few weeks back, a friend sent me an uplink to where I was able to get his 145 books on my Bible Explorer program. And I've got commentaries. I got like 25 or 30 different commentaries. And nothing on the there's very little on the book of Revelation. Out of 20 commentaries, you would think you could find something pretty intense on the book of Revelation.
That's just like Acts 2. You go to, there's a lot of preachers don't want to preach it.
Oh, the speaking in tongues?
Yeah, speaking in tongues. They don't want to preach it. They don't even want to comment on a lot of it. But the Revelation, I can say this about Revelation, that for people that ask the question, and it's been asked over the years, over and over and over and over, is anyone going to get saved through the tribulation? And it's in Revelation.
Yep.
Pretty plain. And the answer is yes.
Yes. The answer is yes. People will get saved, even though I've heard yes and no, but the word, as we've seen it and we've read it, yes, people will accept Jesus Christ after the rapture, and during the tribulation, there will be those accepting Jesus Christ.
It's the ones that will not take the mark.
Yes. I've heard it.
I don't understand that, but you would think that if they're saved, then they're going to go on a rapture. But here they are. They won't take the mark of the beast, but they know better. They still got their mind.
Yep.
And they know better. They might not have been saved, but all their life they've heard. They've worked in churches. If you take the mark of the beast, you're going to burn in the fire.
Yep.
So that's where that comes in. They actually do get saved because they heard that word. But like I said, the way it's wrote, it's because they didn't take the mark of the beast, and worship the Antichrist or beast or whatever. But
yeah.
They will be saved.
I would, it would really be hard if you see pastors left behind. Because that means there was something they were preaching or teaching that wasn't totally agreement with the Word of God, if they're left behind as well. That would be a terrible thing for a pastor to be left behind. And because then, if he had some church people also left behind, they're going to come and say, "Hey, what's going on? Why didn't you tell us this or that?"
Yeah, I thought of that too. I thought, it was like these teachings with rapture came, and then there was the pastor that left. And all these people left. What would they be thinking of him? So, of course, they're going to be fooled anyway. Some of them are.
Yeah. So.
Well, let me ask you a dumb question.
Okay.
The devil knows that he's fighting a losing battle.
Yes.
So he's just trying to take
As many people as he can with him.
But he knows he's losing.
He knows he's only got a short time to work.
No. That's kind of what I was. That one verse where it says something about not written in the book of life from the foundation of the world.
Right. Yeah, he knows he only has a short period of time now. He's making, in fact, 18 after chapter 18, his time's just about up. So yeah, he's trying to deceive as many people as he can and take as many people with him as he can. And so it's and he's really got a short time after chapter 18. It's after chapter 18, things really start winding down, and the devil's time is really cut short.
But Revelation says he has access, right now to the heavens. Because he's there accusing us.
He's the accuser of the brethren.
He's our accuser.
Yep.
And it says, about the war in the heavens, that the Archangel Michael and his angels, they're going to have a war there, and then he's going to be cast down to the earth, and he
can't go back.
He can't go back. That's
right.
it. So right now, it kind of amazing to me. About how it's like Star Trek, Yeah, he's here and he lives there, But anything you do, he's there to tell you, yeah, see what he just did. Mike, see what you just did.
He's
you got to think about it. That's amazing that many people sin, and he's sitting up there telling God, look at this one, look at this one, look at this one. Good Lord, he's pointing. Just
That's why it says God allowed Satan to have fire. He allowed it. And I don't understand it, but he does.
must be a big screen TV where everybody's sinning all at once.
Has a lot to do with choice.
Yeah.
Free will.
free will.
If you're down there in the Walmart parking lot, buddy. Yeah.
And I got some good looking woman in my butt.
Yeah, he almost ran me over one day.
Hey, let me tell y'all something. Everybody really tonight. He come out, it was hot. He weeded it yesterday.
I saw that.
He's mowed a few times out here, and it's just, he don't have to. There ain't nobody makes it. He comes out on his